Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
Good morning. Welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right.
I'm Marlene Cuellar.
And I'm Gavin Courtney.
And thank you for joining us this morning.
Almost at the end of the week.
And the end of April.
Yep.
It felt like we'd never get here.
Right.
All right, let's check in on our weather for today. We have Michelle Smith on the line. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I am fine, and you?
We are good indoors, so that means we get to be a bit cooler for now. Let's talk about our weather for today.
All right, we expect general fair conditions to continue over the area, or at least over most areas.
Okay, and our 24-hour forecast?
Okay, we can expect some cloudy spells, and little or no rainfall is expected, except for the chance of isolated showers or isolated thunderstorms, mainly south today, and then tonight over northern areas.
And or winds?
Winds will be from the east to northeast at about 5 to 15 knots.
Okay. And for our sea state?
Sea state will be choppy to moderate.
All right, let's get into those temperatures now. How hot is it going to be today?
All right, along the coast, it will reach only about 88 Fahrenheit, but inland we still expect about 96 Fahrenheit, and up in the hills, a relatively cool 84 Fahrenheit.
And for tonight?
For tonight, temperatures will continue warm, so we expect about 82 Fahrenheit along the coast, 74 Fahrenheit inland, and about 70 Fahrenheit up in the hills.
Okay. And of course, you still have your advisory reminding people to stay hydrated.
Right, yeah. Especially inland, we expect temperatures to still be a bit warm, as I said earlier. So stay hydrated and avoid going outside if you don't have to.
Yeah. And about the forest fires, what's the satellite looking like this morning?
Right. Well, over the past 24 hours, most of the fires were concentrated over the northern half of the country. And I believe that is because down south yesterday and last night they received some rain, especially the Toledo district. So that kind of, extinguished whatever fires were in those areas. So it was mostly over the north, and we expect that to continue today in northern and central areas. So that is the northern part of the country and the Kaya district.
Okay. And the extended forecast, Michelle?
All right, we expect weather to continue mainly fair, and if any showers do pop up, it will be isolated and mainly over the south.
And the temperatures will be much of the same over the weekend?
Yes, pretty much the same over the weekend. We don't expect maybe a degree or two higher, but not as much, not as warm as it was last weekend, I should say.
Okay. All right, well, that's promising. Thank you so much for that update.
You're welcome.
You have a great day and weekend.
You too, thanks.
All right, bye. Hot
Yeah,
and dry.
Very much so. But it is good to hear at least that some parts of the countries did get some relief, that particularly down south they did get some rain, so that has helped with the ongoing fire situation.
Yeah. And you know, what came to mind when she said she sees the fires on the satellite in the north, we had a story yesterday looking at measures that are being put in place in the west, so clearly there's going to have to be an action plan put in place for the north now as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I wouldn't imagine, I mean, we're lucky here along the coast, especially in Belize City, we don't get the heavy smoke that people are reporting inland. I can't imagine the heat being, staying indoors and just having that smoky atmosphere. So let's hope we can get it under control.
Yeah.
All right, we got to keep things moving and get into a bit of motivation for this morning. And so that means our eye opener. And our eye opener, taken from dailyom.com, goes like this. Sometimes when we break a habit or addiction, we find ourselves missing it like a dear friend. Whenever we make the effort to free ourselves of an addiction or a habit we no longer need, we're often surprised to find ourselves missing the old pattern as we would a familiar friend. This sounds counterintuitive because we think we should instinctively gravitate toward that which is good for us. And yet, it makes a lot of sense when you consider that we humans are creatures of habit. This is why we gravitate to people and places and patterns of behavior that make us feel comfortable. Therefore, many of the habits we form are not conscious and are based instead on learned behavior from role models who are not always making the healthiest decisions. The only way we get to this new place is to endure a time of difficulty, which is a challenge we can confidently handle. If we remember that it will lead to the change we seek in our lives, our bodies, hearts, and minds always need time to adjust to a new way of doing things. But they will adapt and even become our allies if we remain true to our vision of a new way.
I really like that eye-opener. Again, it speaks to me because I know I tend to have a lot of bad habits.
Oh, we all do, Gavin.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I definitely have one of those addictive personalities. So when it comes to things that you know, may not be necessarily good for you, particularly like sweets, because that's the first thing that comes to mind for me. I have a sweet tooth, and I would stay eating, you know, whether it's chocolate or cake, anything. I'd love to do it. So I don't know what they were talking about saying that you gravitate towards things that are good for you. Because that's the one part that I didn't necessarily agree with. Yeah. But it's true, and it is difficult, and you do have to be willing. If you're willing to address it, you do have to accept that you will have to go through that period of difficulty if you want to break them, of course, and it really is difficult, I know, but it does take a certain amount of willpower, and if you do get through it, you find that one, you don't miss the things that you used to, you know, obsess about. Until you'll feel much better afterwards without something, because if you do have, you know, if you have a bad habit or something, and it can get to the point where it does interfere in your life, you want to leave that behind or minimize that to as much extent as possible. So it takes a lot, but it is possible.
Yeah. You know what I thought of? Like I said, we all have bad habits, and I think that what the eye-opener speaks to is just it's a bit comforting in terms of reminding us, one, that it's universal, that we feel comforted with the habits that we do have.
Yeah.
It's a funny relationship. There's something that you do that you don't like and you want to stop. It's a bad habit. But then there's also just that comfort you have in doing it.
Yeah.
So whether it's picking up the sweets, maybe it's sleeping late, you know, there's so many different things that you could do. Just natural paths that we've built in our brains. That's like our autopilot to go to, and we find comfort in them, even though we hate them. And we say we want to stop and we're going to change. But what it does mention, and that's a critical point to talk about, is just, you know, it's hard. There is nothing easy about breaking bad habits, and also because it comes along with creating new habits.
Yeah.
And it's also very telling for right now. I mean, none of us, maybe with the exception of medical professionals, had this habit of washing our hands all the time and spending 20 seconds doing it and being able to get every nook and cranny of your hands as you do it. But it's a habit that we have to build, and it's not necessarily comfortable. You know, you sit and you think to yourself, oh, they look clean, but we must continue it. And that's one of the habits I know collectively we're trying to build on. Habits of not touching our face. I'm a clear failure in this, not for lack of trying, but because it's a habit you have and you have to try your best to break it. And it takes so much consciousness to be able to do it. So, you know, I think when I thought of the eye-opener, I think of a part of the conversation yesterday with the Director of Health Services talking about kind of being lax with our preventative measures. And I think that we all at some point have found ourselves there where we say, oh, you know, am I washing my hands enough? Am I cleaning as much as I cleaned? Let's go back to mid-March and think of how much we were cleaning, washing our hands, and taking all these measures. Are we still doing that today at the end of April? And if we're not, no need to beat up on yourself. Just try to go back to when we first were facing this pandemic and get the habits built in.
Yeah, and speaking of consciousness, I really also liked the part of the eye opener that was talking about that a lot of the habits that we get are formed because we are imitating role models, and it might not even be conscious. I'm thinking of, there's so many different examples, even whether it's growing up as a child or even as an adult, when you interact with certain people and they may do something that you might find annoying or even offensive, and you might consider it a bad habit, and to them it's just completely normal. True. And I mean, I'm thinking about so many different examples of that's happened, and of course it differs from and you can learn it anywhere. It could be from your house, you could learn it in school. Certain schools, they enforce certain rules or something, and then you just pick up certain things as a habit, and you expect that other people are going to do it too, or you don't know that what you're doing is wrong, or
maybe you're
wrong.
the one with the bad habit.
Yeah, exactly. you were maybe taught a certain way to do certain things, and it's hard, and that's why you need that consciousness, and especially a lot of the times, if it is something that you really do like doing, or if it brings you comfort, it's going to be especially difficult to break that habit. And one, you have to be willing to recognize if it is bad, that it's bad, and what sort of a role it's playing in your life. And again, be really willing to take on what it takes to get through it. A lot of the time,
it's going to be hard. I think that once you know it's going to be hard, at least it works for me.
Yeah.
That's a good preparation.
Exactly. I like the mental preparation, of course, is key, and I also think, depending on what it is, sometimes if we are willing to do the work, a lot of the times these things can be helped if you like work on them gradually. Like if you do something every day, you can start with, all right, well, maybe I can't just like quit cold turkey, or I can't just break this. So I'll say, all right, let me start with every other day, then every 2 days, then once a week, and then maybe it lessens the blow. So it can be done, but it is hard.
Yeah, it takes work.
Yep.
All right, so that's our eye opener for today. Really great if you're considering breaking a bad habit, but this also works for building new habits. We were just commenting that there are a lot more people out exercising.
Yep.
And then we know there's a specific time for exercising as well. And don't let anybody judge you if you've suddenly decided during the quarantine, the state of emergency, to go out and exercise. This is great. You can use these days to build that habit and keep it going after. You definitely perhaps have recognized that some of the discomfort of waking up early, going outdoors and sweating, the aches and pains that may come with new movement are worth it in the end.
No, that's a great point, because I've been seeing that a lot of people, a lot of people have been home for some weeks now, and they've been maybe getting into new routines, and a lot of it is based on what people actually enjoy doing. So that eventually, hopefully, after when we do things go back to normal, or when we do develop a new normal, people incorporate those things into their day. That would be really interesting and good.
That would be something good to come out of all of this.
Yeah.
All right, we got to keep things moving, but we do have an important reminder, of course. Today, as we said when we started the show, today is the end of April.
Yeah.
It has been a very long month. We all feel that way collectively, and the state of emergency started at midnight on April 1st, and it actually comes to an end today, those regulations. And we do have an extension that is going to be starting tomorrow. However, those will be under new regulations, which we don't know as yet. The Prime Minister is hosting a virtual press conference today at 10 a.m. And so we're going to get some clarity as to what this new phase of the state of emergency is going to look like. And the Attorney General and the Minister of National Security, Honorable Mike Parafit, is going to be providing some clarity in the Ask the Experts webcast that takes place this afternoon. So you can look out for that information today. We can't tell you exactly what it entails. I think we've only gotten tidbits that some businesses will be allowed to be opened up, but we will still be under a state of emergency. Please don't walk away feeling that tomorrow your life goes back to what it was in February. We'll just find out what types of businesses will be open and what new regulations will be functioning under.
Yeah, absolutely. So please do try to keep informed. Of course, we at Channel 5 will be, of course, informing you of all of the latest updates as they do happen later today. And of course, we'll be recapping it on the news this evening. So please stay tuned. If you're not able to watch it at 10 o'clock this morning, for whatever reason, we will have that coverage for you.
Yeah, and we'll have it live on our Facebook and on the news station as well. So you can definitely look forward to that. I know the National Oversight Committee met yesterday, I think, to fine-tune those regulations. I've been saying, I think that it would be really great if we could hear kind of comprehensively what the plan is. And I know that there is decisions, we have to make these decisions as we move along, but I was reading up on Barbados and their loosening of their restrictions.
Yes.
And so what they've actually done, which is not something that would be hard for us to model, is simply come up with different phases of how they're going to loosen their regulations. And they put timelines on it. So there's a very predictable pattern. They know come May 4th, these are the list of businesses that are going to be open, because they're moving into phase 2 of their loosened restrictions. And while I think that we are still meeting and kind of coming up with our way forward, I would hope that we'd kind of give people some level of predictability in this. And be clear, you could say, like we'd said before, if there's a new confirmed case, then we go back into lockdown phase, So we know what to expect, rather than kind of just sitting around and saying, well, what's going to change tomorrow? And then there's this period of time where everybody's still trying to figure out what the regulations mean for them. And we could really just counter that by putting out the information.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And I think we can learn a lot, especially from the other countries in the region. Yeah. Because, of course, the Prime Minister of Barbados, of course, gave an interview yesterday with CNN, which was really interesting. But, of course, what was highlighted in that interview, of course, is what is basically being faced by a lot of countries in the Caribbean, if not all. Not only the health crisis, of course, but the fallout that has happened in so many other industries because of the complete, I would say, drop in tourism revenue, and all of the other ways that the different problems that are linked to tourism falling, climate change, all sorts of things in which the economic fallout in each of our countries has been huge. Yeah. And so the comprehensive approach that they're taking, I know that Barbados, I know Jamaica has also had a pretty aggressive response to the disease, and a lot of other Caribbean countries as well. So because the problems that we face are similar, we can definitely learn a lot from them, and I think it's encouraging to see that some restrictions are being lifted and that there is a concerted effort to phase out a new plan, for the way forward, because even if we do eliminate COVID, as it presently stands, until there's a vaccination or some effective treatment, we're looking at, a long road in terms of recovery and adjustments that we're going to have to make in order to make society, function as smoothly as possible. Yeah. So I think that the community effort, and I'm talking about community in the broadest sense, is going to be really important to pull us through. So I, think that it can go both ways. That hopefully there are things that we can do that that other people can learn from, and that we can also learn from others as well.
Yeah, and just to reiterate, I think the message coming out from health experts, we are not over COVID-19. To put it in the simplest terms. They've talked about different waves. They've talked about what may potentially happen in the future with other cases. So we also have to remember to do our part. We are here because of a collective effort. The restrictions that were put in place, the monitoring, surveillance, and testing from the Ministry of Health, but most importantly, give yourself a bit of credit as well, because you stayed home, you washed your hands, you used the hotlines if you had to use the hotlines, and you practice social distance. So collectively, we all did it. And moving out in whatever way that will be, because we don't know how much the restrictions will be lifted, we will still be responsible for upholding our end of this fight against the pandemic.
Yes, and as you were speaking as well, I was also thinking that it's also important to keep in mind context. So, it is an encouraging sign, at least, that hopefully some of the restrictions may be lifted or may be lifted to a certain extent. We'll know we'll get the full details later, of course. But, along with that, we also want to be monitoring what the progress is with our handling of the COVID-19 pandemic is like, and I think it is certainly very encouraging that we've gone so long without having a new confirmed case, and that it's expected that I believe that the Director of Health Services said that 3 more cases are expected to recover within the next few days. So the signs are looking good if you read the numbers so far, and we've done just under 1,000 tests. We hope that the process, of course, will be ongoing and that we keep making improvements. But it seems that, of course, our healthcare workers and a lot of the other frontline responders are, working 24/7 to ensure that things don't affect Belize as negatively as they could. So, of course, we do want to say thank you to them for all of the hard work that they do, of course, and the Ministry of Health as well. So we hope that we keep hearing good news for the next couple of weeks, and that can mean good news for the rest of the country.
That's right. All right, but we got to get moving into our show for today. And we have a very important conversation coming up. We know that since the end of the lockdown phase under the state of emergency, public transportation has been opened up again. And so we're going to hear from the Belize Bus Association as to what they're doing. There are new guidelines that they have to follow, including the bus driver and conductor wearing masks, having people wash their hands before they come on, ensuring that all passengers wear masks as well. So quite a lot, and also making sure that they don't overfill the bus, and a number of other things. So we're going to talk to them about how they're doing and how they're managing in terms of keeping their runs going under the current circumstances.
And then for our second conversation, we are going to be shifting to Grace Flavor with a Beat. And we know that a lot of you are home and a lot of you have been flexing your muscle in the kitchen. Of course, we've been seeing lots of pictures on social media of people cooking lots of delicious recipes. But of course, if you want to try something new, Chef Dwayne is going to be teaching us how to make a delicious dish with pasta, with chicken and broccoli. So stay tuned if you want to learn about how to make that.
And there is Belize's first virtual music festival. And it's going to be a COVID-19 fundraiser event. So we're going to get all the details in the final part of our show. And of course, that's just before we move into Kids Time.
Yep. So, of course, you definitely want to keep your kids around. For Kids Time, we're going to learn all about a very topical subject today. That's about the weather. So Dr. Binox is going to be teaching the kids about the different types of clouds and what they do. So make sure that those kids stick around so that they can watch.
All right. So we got to go to that break. But before we do, we got a special birthday shout out. You get to hear her every now and again in our weather check-in. And today she's celebrating her birthday. So we're saying happy birthday to
Shayna Young. So from all of us here at Open Your Eyes and Channel 5, we want to wish you a really, really happy birthday, Shayna. We hope you're enjoying it.
Enjoy.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to take that break now, and we'll be back in a few, so stay tuned.
With over 100 years of service.
children to ask questions and express their feelings with you. Invite them to tell you anything they may have heard about the coronavirus and how they feel. Offer reassurance. Kids worry, especially when they are bombarded with information. Assure them that the best way to avoid getting the virus is by following the safety tips, such as properly washing their hands and not touching their faces. For more information, visit our website.
Today's COVID update is brought to you by Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price but stay for the service.
And we're back. And we're getting into our first conversation for today, your COVID-19 update. And today we're checking in on the bus transportation that is taking place across the country, now allowed since the start of the week. So we have with us, joining us from Borrolboom this morning, Ewart Mesjen, who is the Secretary of the Belize Bus Association. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning, everybody.
Well, thank you for waking up early and joining us.
Really, this is a regular routine for me. Sometimes from 5 in the morning, I'm up.
Yeah.
Nothing better to do.
Ewart, let's get into the conversation. So, the public transportation was allowed to resume starting the beginning of this week. How have things been going so far?
Well, it has resumed, but it's just basically it's not everybody that is running. It's just a few buses. We have, I think, 4 buses coming from the south. From the west, we have about 5 or 6 buses. Going north, we have 4 buses going north, and returning the same way. So the same buses that leave, like say the 4 buses that leave from Benke, those are the buses that go back in the afternoon. And it's the same thing from the north and the south.
So you said that not all the buses are running. Is this an individual business decision? People are deciding whether or not it's worthwhile for them to be running?
You could put it like that, because we still have the curfew on, whereby the police can stop these buses and ask people what's their reason for being out, no? And most businesses are still closed, so it's not that much passengers that are people that are traveling, no? So it's not financially feasible for everybody to be out there running.
Yeah.
And like the minister told us that the government was not in any position to assist bus operators. So those smaller companies that couldn't stand the blunt of what's taking place, they're the ones that are parked now.
Yeah.
And the larger ones that could handle it are out there.
So that was actually the biggest concern from the bus association before we went into the lockdown phase and you weren't allowed to move anyway. You had given an estimate to say that based on fuel prices at that time and the capacity that you were taking, that you weren't going to be able to sustain having the number of runs. So 2 things have happened. One, public transportation is allowed to be opened once again, but we've also seen a drop in some of the fuel costs. How has that impacted the capacity of the bus owners to be able to continue the transportation?
Well, really, the diesel was at the same $8.25 a gallon before we were stopped from running. It had before, about a week or so before that, it had gone on from 9. I think it was at 9.38 or 9.36, somewhere there. Then it went to the 8.25 that it was in the city. That helps a bit, but still with less people traveling, you're still kind of struggling to really cover just basic costs. Because right now, those that are out there running, they're just basically covering the driver, the conductor, and to buy fuel to have the bus back out there again for tomorrow.
So you said you're not earning as much because you don't have as many people moving. what's the capacity that is allowed on the bus? Because we have to maintain social distance as well.
That is true, but the ministry had said that because we were complaining about the one person per seat that they initially said we were to be doing, we were saying if we were to do that, that we won't be able to cover a cost. So they told us we can take a seated bus, but everybody must be wearing masks. You have to have them sanitize their hands and stuff like that before they get in the bus. When you reach a terminal, everybody comes up and you sanitize the bus and everybody gets back on. But like I said, even with that, people aren't moving. Most jobs are closed, businesses are closed down, so people aren't moving around.
And have you found that your talks with the government and the Ministry of Transport, have they been very clear in terms of what they would be requiring of the bus association or the buses in order for them to run, in terms of the guidelines that they do actually have to enforce?
Yeah, they had asked us to see that we had the cleaning stuff on board the bus to wipe our seats and keep the bus properly sanitized, stuff like that. And we've been doing that as was asked of us now.
But it's very specific. It speaks of, so let's talk about what the new conditions are for the buses to be able to run. One, passengers are asked to wash their hands or sanitize their hands before they get on the bus. They must also wear a mask. Your bus driver and conductors must also wear masks. What other guidelines do you have to implement? Because the cleaning, I think, is supposed to take place between every run as well.
Yes, before you leave before you enter the terminal, your bus is supposed to be clean. And each stop you make, like for those in the north, we stop in Orange Walk and then in Corozal. So we've got to clean the buses in Orange Walk and in Corozal before we have passengers go on. Huh?
Okay. Yeah. And any other regulation that's in place?
Well, it's just for us not to be overcrowding the buses, but even if we wanted to do that, there's not sufficient people to do that.
And has no, you can continue, sorry.
No, I just want to say, most of operators they themselves are protecting their employees and their workers. And one of the things we noted was, and we've been asking our drivers and conductors if there's somebody that is in any of the terminals and those persons are sneezing and stuff like that. The government said those persons are not supposed to board the buses because they can infect other people. So we are asking conductors to when you see people like that to just talk to them in a nice manner and let them know why it is that we can't allow them on the buses.
And has that has complying with the new regulations added another layer of difficulty for operation? Because, you know, there's already less people traveling. Now you have to do additional cleaning. You have to have additional supplies for your conductors and the drivers. So I would imagine that sometimes it's very difficult to enforce, especially when there's less passengers and there's less money being earned.
The part of getting the supplies and stuff like that is just an additional cost to operators, but we see it as something that's necessary in order to protect our workers and those that are traveling on the buses with us. So everything that has been asked of us to do, it's necessary, and although it may bring a little bit more difficulty on us, but we were doing it because we ourselves see where it's necessary, not only for ourselves but for the people that work with us and those that ride on the buses.
Now, the people who are moving at this time, they're essential workers or they're moving to approved businesses. What would you say is the average capacity that is being filled on each of these runs? Are you at 50%, 80%? What are you looking at?
Right now, I'd say around 30-35%. I
Per
can
run?
only speak for those from the BBOC because I am directly connected to them. And so I say between 30-35% capacity.
So if you're running with 30% of the passengers that you normally get, what is the long-term sustainability of being able to maintain constant transportation?
We're hoping and we're keeping our fingers crossed that with the buses now moving and they're moving fuel and stuff, that when the new stock of fuel comes in, that the cost of fuel will go even lower, which will be able to again help us to maneuver ourselves a bit more. But currently, let's see, about another week I'd say about 2-3 weeks, we can continue this way before some of us start making decisions on whether or not we should continue.
And of course, if the fuel prices fall between now and then you'd be able to go for longer.
Yeah, we can probably, we'll be able to sustain and go on until things pick up or until we come back to somewhat of some normalcy with businesses reopening and workers moving around again.
And in terms of the number of runs that are in place right now, has there been any sort of modification to the schedule or the amount of buses that are running currently?
The schedule basically is the same as it was before we were closed off completely. So it's just basically we have countrywide, totally I'd say about 20 buses on our national highways that are running between Belize City, the south, the west, and the north. So it's just basically like I'd say about 5 or 10% of what we normally have on the road that's on the road right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was asking because, of course, a lot of, if not the majority of people do rely on public transportation. And especially, this is especially important when we consider that a lot of people do commute from between the different districts a lot of the time for work. And a lot of the time persons who may be living in the rural areas especially need to rely on bus transportation to get to and from, whether it's the towns or to get to another part of the country. So I'm wondering if maybe you've heard any feedback from customers or in terms of how the new restrictions have affected the ability of them to travel around and the ability of you to offer service. Have you heard any sort of feedback?
Well, I'll talk. I could talk on myself because for the village part, for the village runs, I have a bus run that leaves out of Burrell Boom, and I've not been doing that for maybe almost a month now. Again, that wasn't feasible because some days I would leave. I live in the Freshman area of Burrell Boom. I'd probably leave back here with maybe about 8 to 10 passengers and maybe pick up 3-4 more in Boom. And that it's just not it's not cost effective to do that right now because most of the people that work from Burrell Boom, the businesses that they work with are closed.
Yes.
So it's not feasible right now. What I'm trying to do for my people here in Freshman and for those in Burrell Boom that have been calling me is to try and arrange to see if at least twice a week I can go into the city to take them, for them to buy whatever it is that they need or they need to go to the pharmacy or whatever. So I'll try to get that worked out by this week.
Yeah.
And so I can do that twice a week for them.
No, I can only imagine. I think for some of the villages that rely on public transportation to move around, there are always things that you need to come into the city or the town for at some point or the other. So even exploring things like a once a week run would be helpful. But Ewart, let's look at the responsibilities that are being placed on the bus companies. What's the level of enforcement that you have as a bus owner over your employees? Because, you know, this is a safety issue primarily. This is about the health and safety of the nation. So when you send your buses out on a run, whether they're full or at 50 or 30%, they are kind of the watchful eye to ensure that the sanitization process is happening, from the hand washing to the cleaning in between to the enforcement of masks. We've heard stories where conductors are saying, oh, just put on your mask when you reach the bus stop. I'm at the checkpoint. How are you ensuring that they understand the seriousness of this?
For us, we can only speak to the people on board the buses and ask them to please follow regulations, because it's not only for their own safety, but for that of the driver and the conductor, because the same way they have to go home to their families after working or doing whatever it is that they go to do when they travel on the buses, our driver and our conductors, they have to also go home to their families. And we ask our drivers and our conductors to always have on their face masks. And in some cases, for the conductors, when they're dealing with money, we ask them to use gloves.
Yes.
On my part, I give my conductors a glove to put on when collecting money from people. And most of us at the BBOC, that is what we're doing. But like I said, I mean, we can only speak to the passengers when they board the buses and ask them to please keep the face mask on their face at all times, because it's protecting them and also protecting us and our families.
Yeah. Have you run into any situations where you have had to turn back passengers because they don't have the correct protective gear?
I have not heard of any situation like that so far from any of the operators.
Okay. So that means at least people are aware of what it takes to be able to travel on public transportation. And
since we started Sunday, we've not been having any problem or issues with people not wearing masks.
Mm-hmm. And the Ministry of Health had raised some concerns, I believe, that some of the buses were not stopping for healthcare professionals. They'd see people dressed as nurses or people who are in scrubs or medical gear and not stop for them. And they felt that they were being stigmatized for working in the healthcare system. Are you aware of these concerns, and have you had a conversation or addressed it directly with your bus drivers?
Yes, we've heard of it from a couple of weeks ago. We've heard of it, and again, I can only speak of the BBOC. Those of us that are out there, none of our people have been doing that, because during the evening when we come back from the north, a lot of some of the passengers that we do bring are nurses, mostly nurses. There's a few doctors that ride with us, but those are in the morning that go home. Mm-hmm. And we don't have any problems taking doctors and nurses, police officers. We, as a matter of fact, in the evening, a lot of our passengers are police officers and some nurses and a few doctors. For my bus, I speak to my driver and my conductor, because I frequent the hospital, and I'm friends with a lot of these doctors and a couple of the nurses, and I know the good work that they do for us, because on several occasions they've had attended to me, and I am grateful for them. So for my part on my bus, if I hear my driver, my conductor not bringing any of these people, they will go.
Yeah, that's comforting to hear. We do hope that they are actually following through with what you have asked of them. You know, Ewart, I think when you point out the situation, it's a very realistic one. You're not bringing in a full bus of passengers. The cost of running each run does have a price tag attached based on the cost of fuel and the miles that you're traveling. The problem is that public transportation is so absolutely essential. You clearly stated police officers, nurses, doctors, people who need medical care, people who work in government businesses, government departments, people who work in approved businesses. We're not all concentrated in one area. People do have to move from the districts. What's the way forward if we continue on this path where it becomes just too unrealistic for you to keep on paying out of pocket to keep the runs going? What's the best way forward?
Marlene, it will boil down to those of us who those of us who have the love for what we do, and in saying that, we will find a way to continue, because it can only get better from here. I think so far as looking and listening to what the health personnel are saying with those that are recovering from COVID, that the health situation seems to be getting a bit better, and I hope that it stays that way, and those that go across the border still stop, because unless our people stay healthy, our country won't be able to open up. People won't be able to go back to their jobs.
Yeah.
And if they continue to jeopardize the whole country, because that is what they're really doing. But by doing that, I know it's hard, but a little bit of hardship for a small period of time does not really hurt her. It won't kill any of us. But like a lot of people said, COVID will kill us if we don't stick to the guidelines.
Yeah. So you are committed to keep those runs going for as long as possible until things go back to normal.
Yes, as long as again I can only speak of the BBOC. There are some the other operators owners that I speak to frequently. They will hold out as long as they can hold out. Yeah. But again, we turn again to the Prime Minister and say, I mean, we're not asking for anything else. Help us with the fuel. That will help us to stay out there as long as we can, and at least to be able to cover somewhat the cost, no, of being out there. Because we must realize that it's not only fuel. If we go out there and we blow a tire, I mean, if you look at the cheapest tire out there, it's about $430 for one of those buses. So it's not really only that. So when you go there, we have to think about all of that, the maintenance part of the buses.
Yeah. Now, Ewart, you've put this request out before, and clearly the government was not responsive to it. In your communication with the Minister of Transport, do you feel that you would be able to perhaps get some sort of incentive or assistance in being able to keep the transportation going, or you feel that that door is just definitively closed?
I think if to be honest, and I mean no disrespect to the minister, but I think for us maybe to get any help, or to at least try and get any help, we need to go directly maybe to the FinTech or to the Prime Minister itself, because I spoke to the minister on Sunday for a couple of minutes when we were trying to get the schedule back organized for buses to be on the road on Monday. And he told me point blank and outright that the government is in no position to assist us if we go there and run again. So from his point of view, the operators will be getting nothing. But I'm still optimistic, and I still have a bit of faith if we can maybe sit down with the Prime Minister on a one-to-one basis, and let's see if we could work something. I think maybe we could maybe get some sort of assistance through the minister. That door is closed.
And so your current, I mean, the proposal you were putting forward before, I believe, was for an alleviation of the taxes on the fuel you would purchase. That's still what you would request if you're moving forward and you're still not being able to cover the cost each run?
Well, yeah, basically because fuel is almost 2/3 of what we spend on a daily basis, and when we were asked to give a little financial report on what we would be looking at or what each company was spending, and the report we gave were for companies that were only running 3 and 4 buses. And in some cases, for operators running 4 buses, you have 8 employees. You have to have somebody to do maintenance and somebody that works in an office. So 10 people. We had put together between $1,600 a week for salaries. But when you looked at the cost of fuel for those 4 buses to run 7 days a week, we were close to $5,000 a week on just fuel alone. So that is why whenever we ask, we are always asking for the fuel, for the part on the fuel, because the fuel takes 2/3 of whatever earnings we make. So there's where operators through this whole country, there's where we need the help with fuel.
Yeah.
So again, that's where we'll stick. We'll stick with the fuel for right now. And as things progress and the economy becomes better, we can then maybe go back and ask for something else, maybe on parts, because again, parts and tires, those are the other 2 expenses that we have that takes a lot from us.
Right. So just remind us before we close off, currently all parts of the country have a bus run that's running.
Yes, as far as I know, yeah, and with the schedule that's out there, yeah.
Yeah. And it's not the regular runs that they normally see. Some are doing one. I think you made us understand that they're doing just 1 run in and 1 run out.
Yeah, for some companies, yeah, like for the BBOC, we have 2 buses going north and we have 2 buses going west. So we have 4 buses per day out there. Then we have also in the north, we have Marias and I can't remember which. I think it was only Marias and BBOC going north.
Okay.
Then coming from the north to Belize City, it's Linz, Kamalbus, and Etilit.
Okay.
Memory serves me right. Then from the west, we have again BBOC. I think Westline is supposed to still be running 2 buses from the west to Belize City and from Belize City to the west also. We have Silvers, I think, running 1 bus, and Mr. Shaw, I think he runs 1 bus from the west. So I think the west really has about 5 buses or so going and coming for the day. And I think from the south, we have James that has 4 buses that push from the south. I think 1 from the Riga Line and 1 from Reaches.
And is there collaboration happening between the different bus operators right now? Because I know it's, as much as there's an association and you put forward kind of the united message, it is very competitive. And usually everybody's trying to gun for that, that busy hour. Are you working together to at least be able to offer consistent runs during the day rather than competing against each other?
Like any Marlene, like any big family, you find siblings fighting with each other, but it's nothing that I don't think it's nothing that we can't overcome. But we still talk. But right now it's basically those that who are more in line or has the favor of the minister. Those are the ones that are benefiting more than others.
What do you mean by
we
that?
Try not to, I mean, we can't hide from it. We can't run from it. There are some the operators that have their political connections, and they use it at their advantage. No? And that has been something within the association that for a long time, from since we got back together, that we have been asking everybody for us to try and keep politics out of the industry, because we have seen where it has torn the industry apart in the past, and I guess it's just hard for some people to
So you
do
mean,
that.
if I'm understanding what you're saying, so you could correct me if I'm wrong, that those bus operators who are better connected politically are getting the better and more lucrative runs at this time?
Yeah, but I'd say that, yes. I won't run from it because it's the truth, and we've got to face the truth.
And that's
It is what it is. It is what it is.
and that still, to a certain extent, affects what's happening on the ground, today, even in the wake of the COVID pandemic.
Yes, sir.
So what do you,
That it does not change.
so what do you do with,
We would say it's not so, but it's like you have to live it for. Let's say you have to live it for know it.
yeah. So what do you
Until
do
you
with
get
these
enough-
concerns, Ewart? Because it's a time where I know that the bus owners are concerned that the runs are very expensive, that they're not making what they used to make. What do you do to kind of balance it out? Because that within the association itself would cause problems, I'm sure.
It does, but it does create a little bit of rift among our members, and they speak of it openly. We have meetings, and even for the last couple of months that we have not had a meeting, we have a chat group, and they speak their minds openly on the chat group, and so we know where we stand with our members and with what is taking place, and it's just sad to say that although the Prime Minister says he's trying to keep politics out of what is taking place in the country right now, that's just not the case.
So Ewart, is the next step, I hear you saying very clearly you're going to try to keep the runs going consistently for as long as possible, but at some point, if it continues the way it is right now, because maybe more people are allowed to move as of tomorrow, and that would change it. But if you continue having such a small percentage of people moving around and you have to maintain the runs, how will you get your message beyond the Minister of Transport? Because you say that you weren't able to get him to successfully plead your case.
I guess by then, those that are running and that has his favor, they themselves will start losing more than what they're gaining, and they will come around with the rest of us and say, well, we can't continue without the assistance of the government, and that's basically one of the problems, and one of the reasons why I guess we are not getting the assistance, because there's some of these people that are saying that they can do it, and we know of one company that and I have no problem in saying this because it's a truth, as it was said to our president, and I can say I'm not running from it, is that one company wanted told the minister directly, if you want me to continue running, you need to put the other bus companies off the road, and so that I can run, and I also want you to be fuel. And for a short period of time, for a couple of days until we were closed down, that was done. So then that kind of caused a bit of problem within the association with some of the members saying, well, how can they do that for one company because this company is demanding a right button to run? Take off the other bus company and give me the. So when it was done, everybody said, well, I guess we get what we want.
Now this is a very concerning situation that you're painting now, because this is beyond just being able to cover the cost of your runs. What you're saying very clearly is that those bus owners who are politically connected are getting the better runs, which makes them able to survive a lot longer, but it also means that some of the other operators will be cut out very soon. They won't be able to afford to do the runs. And if the only way you can get a collective demand going and have the minister take your plea to cabinet is by getting everyone to feel the pain or feel the financial pain, it sounds very concerning.
That is
Because
exactly what I'm saying. I mean, everybody has to be on the same page. I mean, in this country, with everything that we do in this country, it is divide and conquer. And it's sad to say that some of us are selfish. Some of us don't really see the big picture. In if we work together, we get more done than to try and to be pulling against each other.
Yeah.
And I hope it at some point that we are able to realize that across the country in everything we do, that fighting against each other and pulling apart from each other doesn't help us in any way. It hurts us more than it does help us. And until we learn to unite and to stand, to make a stand and speak in one voice, then things will be better.
Well, and even beyond that, you know, I know while you think of yourself and the other operators as well, for people who are dependent on public transportation, it has been really difficult to be able to move around, and they need you. It's as simple as that. They need you to be able to...
Marlene, it works both ways. It's a 50-50 thing. Without the people, the investment that we've made going to the banks, borrowing money and so on, I mean, it's a 50-50 thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the public needs us and we need the public. None is more superior than the other. We both need each other.
Yeah. Well, I hope that you're able to find a resolution. As I said, things can change as of tomorrow. We don't know who will be allowed to move or which businesses will be opened. So two things can happen. Either you start to have more passengers moving around, or you're going to have to take your concerns to someone else who will be able to listen and perhaps consider your recommendations. So we'll follow up with you soon and see what happens.
And we can only wish for the best, Marlene. Yeah. That's all. We keep our fingers crossed, and we hope that tomorrow we have some sort of relaxation where maybe some businesses can reopen, and we have people starting moving back, those that need to get to their jobs. Yeah. And it will be better for us now, for the operators. Right. But until that happens, we are where we are.
All right. And once again, we just want to remind everybody that to get on the bus, you have to have a mask. You need to sanitize before. These are expectations that they should have. You can't take any standees. You were never allowed to, but you definitely can't now.
Yeah.
And your
more now that we can't do that.
Yeah. And your conductors and your drivers will be wearing masks as well, and cleaning between every stop.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you for the update, and we'll hear back from you soon as to how things are going.
All right. Thank you for having me.
All right. So there we had it. That's a conversation with a representative of the Belize Bus Association about how things are going in terms of public transportation across the country. Clearly, there are issues that do have to be worked out there. And we do want to thank Ewart for bringing it to our attention. And we'll follow up and see where it goes from there. But for now, we can say that there is public transportation available from all parts of the country, although at a reduced number of runs. We're going to go ahead and take a break, and when we come back, it's time for a brand new recipe with Grace, the Leva with a beat. So stay tuned.
This COVID update was brought to you by Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
COVID-19 is an
Brought to you by Grace Kennedy Belize Limited, bringing good taste to life.
And we are back, and we're here for Grace Flavor with a Beat. We're in the house with Chef Dwayne, our resident chef.
That's right. Good morning, guys. Good morning.
Good morning. And we are going to be learning about a real interesting dish right now. We know a lot of you guys are at home right now. You've been cooking up, but you know, if you still need to learn a little thing or two, we have Chef Dwayne with us. So you could tell us what we got on the menu today.
That's right. We have something very nice on the menu going on right now here. What we have here at Grace is we have this pasta, right? Very rich in vitamin A. You know, like pasta.
No,
I love shells. There's different kind of pasta. I love shells because shells is like a little scoop.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
all the cheese and all the sauces and all the flavor and everything stays in there, right? That's why I like shell, because see, you have the little like pockets with the sauces going there. Shells is my favorite kind of pasta. We have different kinds. We have the linguine, we have the spaghetti, we have the right. But that's my friend, and this is going off the market very good, right? And it's kitchen approved. All right. So what we're gonna do is like a grilled chicken.
All right.
We have some shells boiled already.
Yeah.
See, they puff up real good. Of course, al dente, which means like cook, little bit cooked,
and little bit chewy. Yeah.
Right. Not over mushy and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Right. You don't want that. So what I have here is my chicken. I clean my chicken. We're using the vinegar, which is very good. Talking about vinegar, Grace has a nice vinegar. You add it with water, and you could sanitize on your whole kitchen with it.
That's very true.
All right. It's not only for cleaning chicken and meat and different thing, white vinegar. You sanitize your whole place with it and make it nice and fresh. All right. Yeah. And when you clean with vinegar, you could feel a difference. You could feel a difference on the.
And it's good for glass surfaces.
It's good for glass surfaces and everything else. Yes.
Back to basics, right?
Back to basics. You want to clean your glass? Get Grace vinegar.
Yep.
All right. Good. So we have some coconut oil here.
All right.
Everybody knows the macaroni salad.
Yeah.
It's good for picnics. A lot of picnics and a lot of things coming up real soon.
Exactly.
We'll get there. We'll take time, but we'll get there.
Once you could invite back people to your house.
That's right. That's right. You bring up we'll get there, and it's going to be real nice, because by that time everybody don't know how to cook. The kids will say, I made that, that is what we made, right?
Try out some Chef Dwayne recipes.
That's right.
And
hey, speaking of that, I've seen some nice pictures, people posting on there and on their website and stuff like that. Grace recipes, go and find it. All right?
Yeah, for sure. And then of course, we always encourage you guys when you're at home, if you're cooking something, send pictures to Grace, send it to us at Open Your Eyes. We want to know what you guys are doing at home too.
That's right. Who knows? Maybe I'm going to say, hey, this is a winner. Let's do this on the show.
Yep.
All right? And I'll hold your hand and we'll go through it. All right?
Give us some ideas too.
So I have some chicken here, chicken breast.
Yeah. So we have the heat on low.
Yeah, it's on low, because we already made it. This is really easy, guys. You guys know about this, right?
Yeah.
But Grace has make it easier, right? With those nice, perfect shells. I mean, that's one pack of pasta. Look how many pasta you could have dinner. You could have this and this, all right?
Yeah, you could serve the whole family with this, of course.
And have leftovers and everything else.
For sure.
Okay. So I'm just going to move this knife away because it's touched chicken. My hand. I could have put on the gloves and do all that stuff, but we'll go like that. Let me put this back on high.
All right.
All right. So you could use the tongs. You want to pass me that? Let's
sure.
Just the tongs.
Yeah. We'll get that going.
So you might say, what about the season,
Yeah.
You might say, what about the season? All right. So we're going to use my favorite fish and meat sauce.
Yep, I like that one too. I always cook with it.
This stuff is so good.
Yeah, man, I know.
This has it has tamarind.
Yeah.
What tamarind does is it broke down the meat. It make it very soft, and it has flavor.
Yeah.
So we're cooking with flavor with a beat.
This has a real Caribbean flavor.
It is a real yes. They use it from out of Jamaica, and they use it a lot.
Yeah.
Because then people like their tamarind.
Yeah.
All right. We like our tamarind too. All right. So I'm just gonna give this has a little pep to it.
Yeah.
And that's all you need, right?
Yeah, you can add as much as you like.
That's right. When it's finished, you could add more. All right. So we're gonna use that.
All right.
We'll let that cook down a little bit.
Okay.
All right.
And I could already smell it. It smells great. And you know, for you guys watching at home, just you could take our word for it.
That's right.
That it does smell really good already, and that's the only thing that's been added.
And that's
to
the only thing
so
been
far.
added in there, right? Good. All right. So now what I have here, I have some vegetables.
Yep.
All right.
All right. So
Use
I'm
the next
seeing
knife.
we got some onions.
We have some onions, some carrot, some bell peppers, and some broccoli.
All right.
Now broccoli was going down on me, but as in the kitchen, we don't like to throw away anything.
Of course. Yeah.
What I did with this, instead of toss it in the garbage,
Yeah.
I clean it up, right, and reuse it.
Of course. Yeah.
All right.
And you know that's important. A lot of us are at home. A lot of us are trying to save money.
Right.
Trying to make the most of what we got. So of course that's a useful tip. Don't throw away what you don't have to.
And then the ends and the butts, I use it for making stock.
All right. Yeah. That's a good tip too.
Stock is a very good source of vitamins.
Yeah.
I actually drink it just like that, just like a tea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right. So you don't throw away the back of the tomato. You don't throw away nothing. You just put it in water. You boil it down.
Boil it down.
Add a couple cloves of garlic in there, and you drink that.
Really good for you.
It's really good for you. Actually, it's a meal. Some places serve it as a meal.
Yep.
As a starter, right? So we have all that done, right?
All right. So yeah, just chop up your vegetables while you have this chicken going, still going,
That's right.
smelling good.
Some people.
Pretty simple dish.
Right. Some people go. Some people will cook.
Yeah.
I like a raw. I like crunchiness to it.
Yeah.
Some people will cook it up, but then again, you'll vitamins and stuff. This could go raw.
Yeah.
Right. It will hold in your fridge a longer time than cooked.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
That's true.
And everybody's on the healthier side and everything else.
Yeah.
So raw. Remember, your chicken don't cook already. Your pasta don't cook, so you don't want to.
Yeah.
You want
right,
crunch
so
and
you're just gonna
stuff,
mix it
right?
up. Yeah. All right. So this chicken is good. I mean, I keep saying it, but the smell is so good. So you want to make sure that you got your chicken nice and evenly. You got a nice coat of the sauce on it. To make sure that each one has flavor.
Oh yes.
So it's really good and it's really simple to do.
It's very simple. It's very simple. If you want to go, you could do shrimp.
Yeah.
You could do shrimp.
Yeah.
Remember, the sauce is a fish and meat sauce, so that's what I like about it. It's very flexible.
Yeah. So yeah, you could do different meats. You could do shrimp. You could probably do like if you do small cuts of maybe beef.
Beef,
too.
right? Yeah. Okay, so I don't want to put that tongues all over the place. You want to hand me that pasta there, buddy?
Oh, the pasta. Sorry.
All right.
All right, coming right up.
So you make your pasta. You wash it out.
Yeah.
Boil it. Doesn't take long.
Yeah, so like for al dente pasta, it's like less than 10 minutes.
Less than 10 minutes, yeah?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to hand me that tongue right
there.
Sure,
we got this.
I could have go in with my hands, but I'm good.
Yeah.
All right. Good. So we're going to put this all together, all right? Now when I said all together, everybody goes in the party. Let's add to the party, right? So, my favorite again, salad cream.
Of course.
Salad cream. We have to go with the salad cream, and we have two kinds. This is a squeezable, man. This is the new stuff.
All right.
And it stands on the head, right? So you don't have to I remember this one, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
of course,
so we graduate, right? Okay. But it has a nice flavor to it. It's squeezed, and I love the bottle. I don't throw away nothing. Yeah. I keep the bottle for putting up if I have extra sauces left over.
Yeah, exactly. You could do like your pepper sauce.
Pepper sauce. Don't throw away your bottle. Put it in there, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna add. Squeeze, 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 right?
Yeah, look at that. Simple.
Simple, simple, simple. All right. I'm gonna add some evaporated milk. Now this is a newie. Washed and everything else. It says cholesterol free.
What? All right, so it's a little bit better for you too. And then
that's right.
Of course, we're going to be adding our fresh vegetables to that too.
That's right.
You're getting a lot of nutrition.
Nutrition, right? Okay. So I'm just going to clean my hands there. Yeah, this is see right here. You could pull it and and read that off.
So yeah, so we've got some grace-filled evaporated milk, and as you said, of course, there is no cholesterol in it. So
that's the difference.
And then we've got the different can here. So of course we've got your Grace Evap milk.
That's right. Cholesterol free.
Cholesterol
it's
free.
a little lighter. That's what it means. It's not have all that stuff in there.
Yeah, it's not heavy.
It's not heavy. It's good for coffee. Oh
As
man,
about
it makes
to say,
right.
yeah,
It
of
makes a
course.
great coffee.
Your tea, all
your
kind-
tea. If you're doing licuado, it's a new way.
You
It's a
could
new
make
way.
a lot of, put it in desserts. all kind of-
Puddings.
But yeah, of course you could do it. It's
Man,
a very versatile
that's
thing. And
right.
of course you got the
heavy, non-heavy.
Yeah.
Right? It's like heavy cream, non-heavy cream.
Exactly.
All right, you want to help me out to just toss those around?
All right, sure. So
we're going in raw, right?
just gonna mix this up a little bit.
Make everything is real diced, nice and fine. I'm just going to chop these up a little bit more.
All right.
All right.
And then of course like this you could do it to your liking, right? So if
yes.
you like the big pieces or you like the really small
right.
ones, you could always do however you want. Same goes for the chicken too.
Right. With the kids, you want to hide the broccoli, you do it a little smaller.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
All right. This is real good. Healthy on the side, chicken breast, you know. All right, we're getting there. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Smell
that smells good. I love the florets on these. All right.
Yeah.
That's what they call them, the little tops, the florets. Very healthy. All right. And you could go off on this. You could put
Yeah, exactly. I was saying you could put other vegetables
Yes,
if you like. You could
zucchini.
or you could put fresh herbs.
fresh herbs. You have to be fresh herbs.
Yep.
You could do it Tex-Mex.
Yep.
You add some corn in there.
Maybe some
right?
cheese.
Some cheese. Yeah.
All kind of things.
Yep. Very flexible.
So of course, so you know, you got your Grace pasta. That could be your base of like a whole lot of different types of meals.
Voila. All that
And
goes
look
in
at
there.
that. Really
We'll
healthy.
give it a spin. Take it for a spin around the block, you know.
All right.
And see how's the party coming. All right.
And check that out. It's coming. It's all coming together, and it's so simple.
Yes, nice and fresh.
Right here, we're making a meal that could feed the family, all in about, 10, 15 minutes.
That's right, and we're good, and that's done.
Yep.
All right. You want to pass the tongue? Or,
sure.
In fact, you know what? You could go in and put in and stir it up.
All right, sure. Let's go in right here. So we're just
Put
gonna
the sauce and everything.
Right, so we're just gonna put in everything.
Everybody
while
in the
it's still
party.
hot.
Yeah, everybody in the party.
All right.
Flavor it up. Flavor it up.
There we go. So
Look at that. Easy.
Easy.
All right. Spin that up, boy.
Look at that. Yeah.
And of course, we're gonna take out some. There's a little blue plate right there.
Here we go.
I like bowls for when you.
Yeah, of course, for pasta. For
Pasta,
pasta,
it's
it's great.
bowl, yeah.
Easy.
Put that in. Put that in. Put that in. This is an appetizer size, right?
Yeah. And then of course you said this is a great one for the kids because you know kids like pasta,
Oh,
chicken
yes.
and stuff. And you can do it for entertaining if you have people over. You have something maybe for the office.
That's
or
right.
something when things open back up. It's a simple dish that you could make. And of course, it has a good amount of nutrition in there because we have our fresh vegetables
That's
there.
right.
We're using the low cholesterol EVAP milk. And of course, you can add what you want. You can even use different meat if you want, shrimp.
Yes, there's a lot. There's a lot you could do. You could if you make it like that, you crack an egg in there.
Oh yeah,
a couple of egg in there, put it in a flat pan, shove it in the oven, and bake it.
Okay, right.
It's like baked zucchini.
Yep.
All right. And of course, you're gonna go with some fresh. And voila.
And look at that.
Grace pasta and chicken pasta
we got
salad,
chicken
right?
Pasta salad right there. Looks delicious. And of course, simple, not even that much ingredients we use, but we got a really flavorful, nutritious dish right here.
Very good. Very good. Remember, go out and get your pasta shells. They're going quick. They're going off the shelves.
Yeah.
All right. And you could do a lot with that. You could make a soup and everything else. Get one pack of pasta, throw it in there, and everything else like that. All right. Go out and get your salad cream. All right.
The fish and meat sauce as well.
That's right. And make it a Grace lunch, dinner.
Yeah, for sure. So, of course, as we said, you can make a whole lot of different things out of these products. This was just one example. You could modify this to your liking as well.
Get the kids involved.
Get the kids involved. Especially,
send the pictures.
Yeah, especially if you're at home right now, do something. You could even do it today.
That's right. That's right.
You make sure you could get everybody involved with making lunch, making dinner, and of course, this makes a big portion.
Big
right?
portion. That's for feed.
So
a lot.
All right. So, Chef Dwayne, thanks for teaching us how to make this dish. It smells amazing, as I keep saying. Looks great. I'm sure it's gonna taste good too. I'm gonna try it in the break.
That's right.
But of course, thanks for showing us this thing. And of course, this is Grace Flavor with a Beat, teaching you, of course, how to make some delicious recipes with Chef Dwayne. So thanks for coming in and showing us that.
Thank you very much, buddy.
Yeah. So with that, we are going to be taking another break, and when we come back, we are going to be talking about the Virtual Music Festival, which is going to be the first of its kind in Belize. So please stay tuned and stay with us after the break.
Delicious.
Flavor with a Beat was brought to you by Grace Kennedy Belize Limited, bringing good taste to life.
And we're back, and we're moving into our final conversation for today. We're getting all the details about the Belize's first virtual music festival. It's going to be a COVID-19 fundraiser, and we have the organizer joining us, James Sanker. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
All right, so we're going to try to get the artist back on the line as well to join us in, but we're going to start off with you, James, and find out just what's happening.
Well, it's been a lot of work. Even though it's virtual, it's not. It didn't eliminate any of the work that we have to do. It's just as hectic as putting together a real live show. But it's a learning experience, and the artists have been very eager about doing this, and there's a lot of excitement behind it, and everything is going almost as planned.
And how did the idea for the festival come about?
It kind of grew organically. I had a project that I was doing called a remote artist collaboration project, which was that would allow artists from across the world to record together. And so those artists got together and said, well, could we do this and make it live? Right? And so I said, yeah, I think I can make that happen. And so we spent like a week testing out different software and different platform, and we finally got it to work. And so we decided to make it into a show, and then the work started. You get it done. How do you organize it? How do you put it together?
So we should have Bastik on the line. Bastik, you there? Okay, no, not as yet. But I wanted to check in with him and see, hear from him as an artist, just what he wants to bring to the stage. James, who have you been able to get who have agreed to participate in this virtual music festival?
I have like 17 artists throughout the country.
Wow.
I sent you some pictures, but I'll try to not forget it. We have Bastik, we have Nello Player, we have JQ, we have Adrian Doc Martinez, Lovelace, Sam Harris, who am I missing? Denise Castillo, Bad Gal Sharon.
What, you bring back Bad Gal Sharon?
Right in a farm. Kind of tuned down a little bit, but yeah, good.
Yeah. Brad Patico as well.
Yes, Brad. Yeah, Brad. See, I know I'm going to miss somebody.
Mervyn Budram.
Oh yeah. So we're bringing the gospel. No, I can't do any program without doing some gospel.
Yeah.
That's just me.
You got Indio. Super
Indio. Indio, yes. There you go. Thanks, Marlene.
Those are just some that I am noting from the pictures. We got Justin Castillo, JCass.
Yeah, see, we're missing a few. But yeah, it's a large lineup of very, very talented artists that got together and says, let's put in the work, right, and get it done. The artists are not getting paid like a regular show. We have set up a virtual tip basket. It's very unique. People are asking me how we get it done, but we got it done. You go to tips.easy, www.tips.easy, and anywhere in the world, you could basically put your card and choose the artist that you want to tip to, and they receive their tip directly to the artist.
Okay. So you can tip them. Is this through an online payment?
Yeah, it's an online payment. You go to www.tips.easy. Set up specifically for this. I kind of combine my IT, my IT knowledge along with the music world. Now I got to combine both of them, and I put that together. And so anywhere with
Okay. So we got Bastik on the line now. He's making an entrance. Good morning.
Good morning. How you guys doing once more? You guys doing good? Mr. James, good to have you guys on board, man.
Yeah. So Bastik, tell us why you decided to join in on this project.
Well, over the years, me and James have been working with the Belize Music Agency for a long period of time, and right now, through the lockdown and all the COVID and the epidemic and the pandemic that's happening worldwide right now, within the artists platform, it's impossible for us to be out and having concerts and interacting with our fans. So I thought that this was one of the best ways I could get in contact with the fans and let them know exactly that we're still here, we're working with them, we're making good music, we're trying to find different ways that we could get in contact with them, although we're still on lockdown. So it's the first time that we're doing the virtual festival, but the little glitches, and so we're polishing it up. So, but it's an awesome feeling, and we just hope that it turns out very good, you know?
And what has your like creative process or anything changed due to the lockdown? We know that, of course, you know, certain movements are kind of restricted, and you may have other, you know, you may have been facing other challenges. I'm not sure. So what has it been like over the past couple of weeks for you as an artist?
Well, I was working on some new music. I was in Jamaica earlier in this year. I was working with Mr. Sly and Robbie. We're working on some new reggae music, and unfortunately I had to halt all that project and come back home, so because of the COVID. So that is a little error right now that I'm trying to work up, because I did spend a lot of finance going in there and on the project, and then I had to put it to a halt. So that is one of the instances that I'm trying to polish up right now, because we're not making any money as artists right now, because no concerts or nothing. So this is the only platform right now we see that by being on this platform with James and so forth, we could try to get in contact with some fans and ask for donations or little tips that we, you know, could put us somewhere and be some used for a worthy cause.
All right, so that's I think a really crucial point. People are online and people are consuming different forms of entertainment. We see the DJs are out there every day spinning something. We see people, you know, doing dances, all kinds of stuff. So now you're hoping that you could be able to put out your music and get people to support you, because where you would normally make your money by going out and doing your performances, that's not going to happen right now.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Yes. So that's right. This platform is a platform for us to try reach out to them and ask them for a little support or that donation, you know. So, and it will take us a long way.
Yeah. Have you been coming up with new music in the meantime?
Oh, definitely, sure. Yes. New music always coming. I'm always writing, and I'm working with different artists also to help them perfect their craft or put a little skill more into the craft. So yes, every day I'm in the studio right now. So we have a couple works need to get done. So, and then I also have different projects and then different things that I'm working on. Others from that, because we're doing a movie and also sort of thing with a local movie with Belize, and so there's a lot of work going on right now. But like I said, everything is on hold right now. So.
And what about preparing for the virtual concert? Because that, I imagine, is going to be a lot different from, you know, preparing for a normal show.
Oh yes, definitely. We're starting to publish the first time. It's gonna have a little difficulty to it, but we're gonna see how it goes. But because I don't think it's not more difficult than actually just being in front of a camera and performing, but it's gonna be a little different because with the energy that the people usually gives you, then you know what I mean. But the deliverance supposed to be there, so I guess they're supposed to look for a good show, because we have a lot of good artists on board, like Ras Indio, and we have Adrian the Doc, and a whole heap of different artists, you know. So they're supposed to get entertained at home for the first time.
James?
The platform to allow the people that are watching to actually be part of the conversation, also through chat, so they're going to get some of that reaction from the audience a little bit. We're doing making that part of it interactive with our audience.
So tell me how this is going to happen. Is it that everybody's going to be live from their corner of the country all on tomorrow night?
Yeah, we got a mix. That was the original idea. To basically get everybody all at once, but we run into some problems with the internet in some places didn't support the speed and some quality that we wanted.
Yeah.
And so some of those artists is going to be like pre-recorded, and some of the other artists is going to that we have good testing facility. We'll be able to bring them on as a live. In some case, we have artists that are performing the same song from different locations. Those are the ideas that we're basically looking at. The platform can definitely support that. And we see that when we do a show the next time, we'll be able to do exactly what you just did, Marley, and we'll bring a group of artists in, and they'll all be performing together on the same stage, regardless of where they look.
Okay. And how do you ensure sound quality? Because there's a difference between playing music online and actually performing live.
Oh yeah, definitely. That was our biggest hurdle, to try to get the sound quality, but we have found some very innovative software that allow us to do those kind of adjustments that you normally do on the stage. We're able to solve that problem early in the part of our testing that we're testing. We're able to solve that. So you'll be able to have good sound quality on this. Live musician, live music, live instruments. You'll be able to get that some quality that you'll normally get when you're at the show.
Okay. And you know, I mean, this idea, you're talking about two things here. One, you're offering a night of entertainment with pure Belizean artists and at different genres of music as well. But you're also doing this as a fundraising event. But the fundraiser is to help the artists.
Right.
Now, this isn't something I think people are thinking of. We're thinking of people who, you know, may not have food items or have lost their jobs. And so often we're not thinking of people who have been impacted. James, tell us why you decided to be the one to champion this cause.
Yeah, well, we're right in that same boat with people that lost their jobs.
That's right.
Same boat. We're right in that same boat. So, and our artists are a little bit more vulnerable if you think about it. Our artists basically survive when they work. We don't get a paycheck every week. If we don't work, don't have a show to do, we don't get paid. And so we're a little bit more vulnerable if you think about it. And for every single time when you have a fundraiser, the artists have came forward, gave their time in supporting fundraisers every single time. This is like you guys to support us. We have support every fundraiser that to think about the amount, put part in those fundraisers.
Yeah.
But this is just that time for us now to ask back, support the artists now.
Yeah. Bastic, I think, you know, you probably talked to the other artists as well, and people, you're so absolutely right when you say that you survive on having gatherings, social gatherings happening. You gotta go out, and I mean, Easter is a big weekend for artists. You completely missed that one. Some of the other holidays that took place. So what's it like from the artist community and your friends as well?
Well, right now they're facing little hardship. They're facing the crisis like everyone else, and they're looking around for support and little handouts and for them to go by, because before this pandemic, Belizean artists didn't have constant shows and being booked constantly, so they could accumulate a capital whereby they have a savings. So with the pandemic coming down on them, they went out and just used all the money that they had saved and the little pocket change and so forth. So they're in the same situation right now, trying to look in for pantries and handouts and different stuff. So it is taking a toll on the artists, likewise the musicians all over Belize, because they're seeing the hardship of this.
Yeah, I'm sure you missed the stage too, don't you?
Oh, I miss it so bad. So bad, Mar.
So how do you prepare for an online, you know, I always ask you guys this when you're here. So there's a difference between being in studio and being on stage. This is kind of mixing both. You got to think of who's watching, and how you're going to get that energy, and you're also you're in a studio.
Yeah. So with that case, you have to differentiate as an artist what song you're gonna sing, how you're gonna sing the song, what audience you're trying to penetrate. So it's a little different, because sometimes when on stage you could just go out and look at your artist and I could say, okay, Bastic, you need to sing this type of song, and this song, and that will entertain the crowd. But remember now, I have from 2 to 92 or 2 to 95 watching me on the virtual festival, so I need to differentiate the different music and make sure that everybody gets the same idea what I'm putting across, you know. So yeah. that's the difficult part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then also, I guess. No, you can continue, James.
Go ahead. Yeah, it's a little bit more planning on the artist side. I have been working with them, trying to tell them that for now, keep some of the things simple. So that we could basically get the feel of the artist right up close to the people. You have to remember that you're going into their living room, right? It's not like we have right in front of the stage. It's different. Well, yeah, we're stealing some of your concept right in the living room, right? That idea is a little bit different for us. We didn't have to go in your living room before, but now we have to target our audience and plan our show about going into a living room.
Yeah.
So that was a little different how they perform. Yeah.
And have you guys done any real sort of rehearsal just to get you in the space to actually perform, but from your studio or from your house?
Lots of rehearsal.
Yeah.
Lots of testing. Yeah, remember this is a new platform.
Yeah.
A lot of technical things had to work out. Yes.
So what's that like? Tell us about that practice, the rehearsals, and how they've been going. Bastic?
Yeah, well, the rehearsals, sometimes I have to be on my phone, on my WhatsApp with James, and then online on the virtual platform, because we both could see what one another is doing. So in that case, I would have to be on my cell phone and talking to him, because he's gonna say, well, Bastic, you know what, change the chord, and Bastic did this or whatever, or put the phone a little bit closer to the speaker. Let me hear what you, and whole heap of different things. And tweet that. You need to do this. Oh, you can't sing it so high. You need to come back down, whatever. So on the stage, I know exactly what is needed to be done, but with James over the phone with me, he's like, oh man. But James is somebody, he looks for perfection, you know? He's a perfectionist, so I give thanks for that, because he makes sure that we reach the pinnacle to that we're trying to reach, you know? So I give thanks for having me around for all these years.
Well, it sounds like you guys have been putting in a lot of work, and you are so right when you keep on saying it. I mean, we are adjusting here, same thing. Or TV medium is changing. Now music medium is changing. I should say live performance for music is changing. Tell us how it's gonna work, because what we've seen a lot are kind of like online YouTube or Facebook Lives. You guys are going a completely different route. Tell us how people can tune in.
Well, yeah, we have, it's a kind of multimedia platform. We're gonna be streaming live from about 5 different Facebook pages throughout the world. It's a direct live from those particular pages, not a shared thing. It's as if those particular locations are going live themselves. And all of the communication between their fans or friends and come all the way to us, so we get total impact of all those particular Facebook pages.
So which Facebook page should we go to see it tomorrow? Because it's tomorrow night that it's happening.
There are several. You could probably go to the Virtual Music Festival webpage.
Okay.
You can go there. You can go to the press office Facebook page.
Okay.
You go to Niche Speaker Facebook page.
Ambassador, the music ambassador page also.
Yep.
Okay.
The music ambassador music page. So what happened with basically link this music page, there's a plug that goes in Facebook that people kind of overlook, that you could actually make those Facebook page part of what it's not a shared.
It's everybody going live at the same time. Okay,
Right.
and looking at the concert is one thing, but then you also want people to show some kindness to our artists, and so that means they have to go to a web page to be able to deposit some money to their individual artists, their favorite individual artists, or be kind enough to give a little bit to all.
That'd be great.
Yes.
So what's that website? What's that website, James?
www.tips.bz. www.ips.bz.
Okay. And it's using credit cards or online banking deposit?
Credit card. Credit card.
All right.
Credit card. Anywhere in the world. Anywhere in the world. Visa, MasterCard, your credit card. That's it.
All right.
So we have a couple of sites in the diaspora that's going to be sending us stuff in the diaspora. We're targeting that market. Those.
All right, guys. Well, here's the last chance for your invite to Belize, to our viewers at least, to tune in tomorrow and to show some support. Go ahead, Bastik, you take it.
Well, I just want to once more thank you guys for having me and James on board, and I just want to tell the fans that look out for good music, all the best through this whole pandemic, and you guys stay safe and look forward for all the contributions, and you have a blessed and awesome day.
Be safe, Belize.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. And once again, remember, you can tune in to Belize's first virtual music festival tomorrow. That's May 1st. And it's going to be online. You can access it through the Government of Belize's webpage, Niche's webpage. And as you can see from the flyer that's up, the number of different pages that you will be able to tune in. You're also asked to show some kindness to our artists as well. They're not able to work if there are no social gatherings taking place, so you can go to tips.bz and send them some money to help them through this time as well. Thank you very much for joining us and giving us the details, and best of luck tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Mara. You have a good day.
All right. Stay safe.
Likewise.
And there you have it from music. We are going to shift gears now, so everybody can get ready for that concert tomorrow night. And right now, what we're going to do is ask parents to get the kids in front of the television, because it's time for another edition of Kids Time. And of course, this is brought to you by JNW Shopping Mart. Today, Dr. Bynux is teaching us
all about the weather. So we are going to learn about the different types of clouds. So get the kids around.
And let's enjoy.